Forget everything you think you know about global conflict. Because the biggest war being fought today, well, it isn't happening with missiles or tanks. It's being fought with algorithms, with supply chains, and with that little device you're probably holding in your hand right now. So, let's dive into this massive economic showdown and unpack the 10 Chinese companies that have Washington seriously worried about America's top spot.
First on our list is a car company you've probably started seeing around, called BYD. Now, in China, the name is pretty optimistic. It stands for Build Your Dreams. Sounds innocent enough, right? A pretty standard corporate tagline. But on the other side of the Pacific, that dream is starting to look a whole lot different.
Because in America, some people have a very different interpretation of BYD, break your dominance. And you know what? That one phrase perfectly captures what this is all about. One country's dream is being seen as another's absolute nightmare. This is the story of how that nightmare is taking shape.
So, let's kick things off with a company that sent a massive shockwave through one of America's most legendary industries, the auto sector.
I mean, just look at this trajectory. It's wild. They weren't even a car company to begin with. Back in '95, they were just making batteries. But then, by 2008, a guy named Warren Buffett is investing. And then, the real bombshell, by 2023, they did what a lot of folks thought was impossible. They actually dethroned Tesla to become the #1 EV maker on the planet.
And listen, this wasn't even a close race. In 2023, BYD sold over 3 million electric vehicles. That's more than a million more than Tesla. The gap is just staggering. So you gotta ask, what's their secret? How did they do it? Well, here's their secret weapon. And it's not just about making cars for less money. It's about control, total control. BYD basically owns its entire supply chain. We're talking from the mines that pull minerals out of the ground to the software running on the dashboard. They call it vertical integration, and it means they are incredibly difficult to put pressure on.
But this fight isn't just happening in distant factories. Not at all. The next wave, well, it's already in your house, it's on your phone, and it's probably in your online shopping cart. This is the invasion you can actually see.
170 million. Let that number sink in for a second. That's how many Americans are on TikTok. That's over half the entire country. Think about it. This one single app has more influence over a generation of Americans than TV networks that have been around for 70 years. This isn't just about business. This is a battle for culture. And then there's this. Wow. The fashion app Shein grew its sales in the US by an unbelievable 600% in just 3 years. It became the most downloaded shopping app in the entire country. Yes, it even beat Amazon. And they did all of this without a single physical store, just completely rewriting the rules of retail.
And what's really fascinating is how they're doing it. See, a giant like Amazon builds this huge American footprint, right? Warehouses, American workers, paying local taxes. But a challenger like Alibaba, they have a completely different playbook. They just ship directly from a factory in China right to your doorstep, pretty much bypassing America's entire economic system. Okay, so beyond the apps on your phone and the packages on your porch, there's a much deeper, much more strategic challenge going on. This is what we're calling the invisible grip. The companies that are controlling the actual hardware and networks that our entire world runs on.
Now, these are the companies that really have Washington worried. They are becoming the nervous system of the global economy. We're talking about Huawei's 5G networks, CATL's batteries that power the future, SMIC's microchips, COSCO's shipping routes, and even the DJI drones flying over our heads. Just take Huawei, for example. The US hit them with these crippling sanctions, trying to cut them off from advanced computer chips. Most people thought they were toast. Then, out of nowhere in 2023, they shocked the entire world by releasing a brand new smartphone powered by their own advanced chip, made in China. It was a massive statement. Now let's talk about batteries. The future of transportation is electric. And one single Chinese company, CATL, controls a jaw-dropping 37% of the entire global market. That's more than a third. They basically hold the keys to the car industry's future. Even American heavyweights like Ford and Tesla rely on their technology.
And this creates a huge paradox. The US simply cannot meet its green energy targets without CATL's batteries. But at the exact same time, Washington sees this incredible dominance as a major national security risk. It's a threat you can't touch because you need it.
This brings us to SMIC. Remember that comeback chip from Huawei? Well, this is the company that made it happen. The US tried to stop China's progress by banning tech sales to them, but the shock of SMIC actually pulling it off proved that strategy had a major flaw. It was a wake-up call that China's goal of technological independence wasn't just a dream, it was becoming a reality. This quote right here really captures the next evolution in this whole economic battle. See, it's not just about making stuff anymore. Now, it's about controlling how all that stuff moves around the planet. And that brings us to the shipping titan, COSCO. And COSCO isn't just another shipping company. It is a global logistics powerhouse. It owns stakes or runs terminals in over 50 ports across the globe, everywhere from Europe to Latin America. They are literally tightening their grip on the choke points of world trade.
And finally, you've got the influence that you might not even realize is there. When millions of people play a game like Fortnite, or when Hollywood shoots a stunning movie scene with a drone, very often, the profits and the data flow back to Chinese giants like Tencent and DJI, who have achieved almost complete dominance in their fields.
So after looking at cars and apps and the entire infrastructure of global trade, it's time to bring this all back home. Because when you boil it all down, this massive geopolitical struggle really comes down to something much, much smaller and way more personal.
This is the question on everyone's mind, right? After seeing all this, who is actually winning this thing? Well, the answer might not be what you think. This is probably the most powerful takeaway of all. The biggest challenge to America's economic leadership isn't some foreign army landing on the beaches. It's the thousands of choices being made every single day, by every single one of us, when we're looking for a better deal or a more entertaining app.
So the real battlefield, it's the screen in your hand. The weapons aren't missiles, they're clever algorithms, efficient supply chains, and that very tempting buy now button. Every single tap is a vote in this global competition, whether we realize it or not.
So, the big question isn't just who's winning, but what part do we all play in this? This conversation definitely doesn't end here. It continues with you. What do you think about this incredible shift in global power? We really want to know. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you found this explainer useful, please do us a huge favor. Hit subscribe and share it with someone you think needs to see it. Thanks for watching.